Kyle Larson said he thinks it's tougher to win against High Limit than the Outlaws, but do the numbers jive with that idea? We'll dive in today. Plus, a schedule change for the Outlaws. The Flow Series kicks off tonight, and Infinity Chassis adds a new dirt late model recruit. Let's go. It's Tuesday, May 6th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. It's getting serious over on FloRacing this week. Illinois Speedweek runs through Saturday night. 3 high-limit sprint car shows, plus USAC, Spring Nationals, Marshalltown, NARC, the IRA, and a whole lot more. If you haven't yet gotten a FloRacing subscription for 2025 and you want to help out DIRTRACKR at no additional cost to you, sign up over at DIRTRACKR.com/FloRacing. Flow is home to a ton of big dirt racing series and events. They've also got paved racing, drag racing, action sports. And if you want to go beyond Flow Racing, you can explore an entire world of other sports as well across the other Flow Sports verticals. So DIRTRACKR.com/FlowRacing, or you can click the link below in the video description or the Flow Racing links at DIRTRACKR.com. Now that we live in a world with 2 national touring sprint car series between the World of Outlaws and High Limit, this talking point about which series is more difficult, it's going to persist. And it's going to persist because there's no real way to answer this question. There are going to be moments during the season where the 2 sides come together for big events like the Knoxville Nationals, but is one race week or weekend enough to say definitively that one is tougher than the other? And if you spend any amount of time where sprint car conversations are happening, you're going to likely run into folks debating one side or the other. And you get the gravel versus sweet, which one has tougher features to make, the top of one is better than the top of the other, and et cetera, and on and on. Over the weekend, after Rico Abreu's win at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, Kyle Larson himself took the chance to weigh in on the subject. He told Tony Laporta, quote, "Seems to be harder to win a high-limit race than an outlaw race right now." He had a wry smile on his face when he said it, and obviously we need to take his assessment with a grain of salt, as he just happens to be co-owner of the side he was advocating for. If you're curious on his stats versus both sides, Larson with a win, 3 top 5s, and 4 top 10s against High Limit, average finish of 3.5. In 6 outlaw starts this year, it's 3 wins, 6 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, with an average finish of 1.67. Larson, though, qualifying more than 2 positions better on average against the Outlaws, and with no heat race inversion, he's going to start better in features. He also admitted that Texas Motor Speedway hasn't been a great track for them, and that showed especially on Thursday, 16th in qualifying and a season worst finish of 9th, and that was after starting 13th. I was curious, though, about the strength of the fields, so I used the best option we have at the moment for measuring that, which is the ratings over at sprintcarratings.com. Those are obviously put together by Bill over there. I used the full 2-year rolling rating system to look at this, so we have a bit of a more of a complete picture of the individual drivers versus just the 2025 ratings, which are a much smaller sample size. I then compared strength of fields between Saturday night at Texas and Friday night at Eldora. Similar car counts, 31 at TMS and 34 at Eldora. In the features, we have ratings on 23 drivers for each side, as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ashton Torgerson, they're not rated right now by Bill. So for the 23 drivers we counted on each side, High Limit's total score was 8.9335, with an average rating through the field of 0.3885. The Outlaws, though, scoring better, a total of 9.5332 and an average rating of 0.4145. And given the geography, you'd probably expect Ohio to come with tougher sprint car drivers than Texas, so it's not a surprise to see Eldora with a tougher strength of field. If we pare it down, though, to just the series full-timers, if we want to just compare kind of apples to apples here, the Outlaws again scoring better in the ratings. The 14 high rollers with an average of 0.439, and the 15 Outlaws with an average of 0.478. Take those numbers, digest however you would like. I think, though, that when it comes to these discussions, the conversation, it's going to be heavily affected by which side someone favors and individual biases. Since Bill's ratings are based on results, though, and, are not swayed by biases, they're about as unbiased as we can get. Feel free to post your thoughts down below in the comments section. By the way, if you were hoping to see some sprint car racing tonight, which was originally on the schedule, unfortunately, you'll have to wait one more day. The World of Outlaws Gettysburg Clash at Lincoln Speedway has been pushed back a day to Wednesday, May 7th. Some early week weather is to blame here, but tomorrow's forecast does look much better. After Lincoln on Wednesday, the Outlaws head to Williams Grove Friday and Saturday for the Morgan Cup weekend. For racing tonight, though, in Illinois, there shouldn't be any weather issues for the opening Illinois Speedweek show at LaSalle Speedway. The FloRacing Night in America Series starts their 2025 season with a 20,000 to win show. They're going to continue Wednesday and Thursday with stops at Spoon River and Lincoln, with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series then taking over Friday and Saturday with races at Farmer City and Fairbury. It's interesting to note that the Flo Series is 10 races this season, but 4 of those will happen in the next week. So 40% of the schedule in a 7-day stretch, and then the other 6 races, the 60% of the schedule, happen between June and November. This is year 5 for the mostly midweek Flo Late Model Tour, and we've had 4 different champions up to this point. Ricky Thornton Jr. is defending. Bobby Pierce, Brandon Shepard, Jonathan Davenport, the other 3 champions. Pierce and RTJ tied for the most series wins at 7, and 12 different drivers have won a series race in its existence. This season, the series champion will pick up a $50,000 check, which could be $75,000 with perfect attendance. And I haven't seen an expected list of full-timers for the year, but I would imagine the shows this week will be heavily attended. All are good paydays. You've got Lucas racing this weekend, so, those guys are going to be traveling anyway. There's no competition from the World of Outlaws or the regional series like Mars in the area. Tonight will be the first big-time race at LaSalle Speedway since 2021. And this kicks off a special event schedule at the track this season. Later this year, they're going to also host the Summer Nationals late models, plus the IRA sprint cars, the World of Outlaws sprint cars in October, and then they're going to have things like monster trucks and rodeo. But like I said earlier, if you want to watch this, you can obviously do that tonight, live over on FloRacing. One other dirt late model note for you today. Wells Motorsports and their Infinity chassis brand added another recruit to the mix this past weekend. Tyler Bruning and his Skyline team showed up to the Mississippi Thunder Speedway with the Outlaws in a new Infinity and not their usual Longhorn. This means both Skyline teams are now using Infinity chassis, as Mike Marlar had switched several weeks ago. We obviously documented that here on the show. With the success we've seen Marlar have, it's not surprising to see his teammate in Bruning make the swap as well. We also know that Infinity engineer and past Ryan Gustin crew chief Tim Douglas had been at the track helping Marlar get comfortable in the Infinity. And Marlar revealed to Kyle McFadden and Dirt on Dirt back in March that Douglas was helping Bruning also, even though Bruning was still in that Longhorn. Drivers running more national-type schedules in Infinity cars now include Ryan Gustin, Marlar and Bruning, plus Tristan Chamberlain and Dylan McCowan. We are still waiting on the debut of the Wells Infinity House Car team in 2025 with Eric Wells behind the wheel. And if you're curious, Bruning was 11th and 15th against the Outlaws last Friday and Saturday. All right, friends, we'll call it good there for today. Enjoy the racing out there tonight. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.